Eu cheguei e, assim, eu tava assistindo no celular já, né? Assistindo não, né? Palavra forte também. Tava morto, mas eu tava ouvindo, né? Mas tava morto. Tô meio que sabendo da situação aqui, mas não assisti o jogo direito não. Assisti um pedacinho ou outro ali. Agora eu cheguei. Hum. E eles já estão perdendo já, hein? Olha só, hein? Já, agora chamaram nos Comfort Pick aí, ó. Nocturne, Renata Calista, entendeu? Tudo. Os três champs são ruins? Os três champs são horrorosos. Um Blitão? Nossa. Ai, Voodoo.
The power that this Nocturne can bring denies a lot of the dive.
Yeah, exactly. He knows that they're going to round out the rest of this comp with more dive, so preemptively grabbing the Tom Kench.
First Kench that we've seen this tournament as well.
Se chamasse um Blitão ia ser loucura, hein, mano. Ainda bem que não chamou no Blitz. E agora, hein? Gragas. Puta, Gragas eu gosto, hein? A Nivea? Não.
Locked in. Obviously a champion against champions like Trundle and the Tom Kench, the power of that ulti to really slow you down the walls against a Cassio can be devastating. Who's it going to be for Doran? Ornn is on, Yorick gone. Often we see these blind picked. And gentlemen, it feels a bit scattered from T1.
Yeah, it's still got to be the Gragas.
Meu Deus, velho.
Okay, it is a bit versatile. Honestly, though, I'm favoring the KT side at the moment, and they get counter.
Okay, let's all take a breath.
No, we're not gonna get baited by offers.
No room for breathing.
No.
Mordekaiser.
What is he gonna lock in here? Perfect. What's the R5? It is interesting because Mordekaiser is a champion that can still split push even when faced with Nocturne comps.
True.
So I do like it even when, you know, T1 have ways to attack side lanes. You know, with Nocturne and other people joining, it is something that can still always have threat there due to the Mordekaiser ultimate.
I will also just say, in terms of ease of execution, there's almost no
Que já foi, mano.
CC on the entirety of this KT lineup. They're really going to need to
Pô,
have
esse
full map
Picker jogou aonde,
better on
mano?
the setup.
Deixa eu ver uma parada. Ah, não aparece. Pesquisa aqui. Ele jogou... Ah... Nossa, ele é da base da Nongxin mesmo. É. Nossa, ele sempre subiu e desceu da Nongxin, mano. Olha que merda. Carai. Sempre subiu e desceu da Nongxin aqui, ó. Dynamics Academy, Dynamics era Nongxin. Aí virou Nongxin Academy, Nongxin Challengers, Nongxin normal, Nongxin Challengers, Nongxin normal, Nongxin Challengers, Nongxin normal, Nongxin Academy, KT Challengers e KT Roster. Nossa.
KT on the cusp of winning their first trophy in their first finals after their first semi-finals. An unprecedented run, but they are going up against T1, the greatest to ever do it. A team hungry to find redemption for Faker. 2015, 2016, denied in 2017. This roster...
Só o troféu, você é louco. Obviamente não é daquele tamanho, né? Aí deu pra entender. Nossa, a Nivea clássica é bizarramente feia, velho.
T1, of course, they have to approach this as one game at a time. Every single game must win for them to extend the series. Every play critical, including the level ones.
Faker trying to move away. Good damage going down on Owner, forcing that early flash out. You have to be terrified now because Cuz is going to start to take over in the jungle.
Yeah, Trundle definitely can go for invades and look to punish flashes.
Yeah, BJ Trundle with a flashless Nocturne definitely big, as we can see. A little bit of a trip down memory lane. It's T1, as we keep saying, in case you know, maybe you just tune in. Maybe you're like, what's all the ruckus about? Have had so many ups and downs, and in this modern era, it's been the four-man core of Owner, Faker, Guma, and Carrier. We've had Kana originally in 2021. We've had Zeus in 23, 22, 23, and 24. And now Doran, as they find their backs against the wall.
And how fitting is it that it's KT Rolster that stands in front of T1 now, when it was T1 in 2013, that went over them.
Ai, meu Deus do céu, velho.
Their first world's title. See if they can do it. Okay, owner, no flash, but doesn't matter. He can still clear as Nocturne. You want a full clear at least 2 times.
He can beat the jungle camps.
Yeah, and then
he doesn't need flash.
Yeah, just clear in peace, and then your flash will be in no time. That's how you look at it.
Definitely a good luck is BDD is going to be the first to get to level 2. Neither one wants to be too aggressive with their cooldowns. Obviously, if a single Noxious Blast connects, the potential for BDD to just run Faker down is very real. Nice handshake coming in. Immediate barrier coming out from
Nossa, que barreira horrorosa.
using a barrier of his own just in case the tower shot does come through. So super dominant 2v2 here already from the side of T1.
And I do think you kind of know that when the Kench gets locked in, you're just not going to have the laning pressure. This is really a pick that is expected to have pressure as you go deeper into
Pelo amor de Deus, que barreira foi essa, velho? Nossa.
Will inevitably follow. I gotta say though, Kench into Anivia and Gragas really doesn't feel quite as good. I think the Nocturne and the all-in from Guma and Keria feels good to play into, but Anivia really makes it hard for you to actually reliably protect your carry, get W's off, and Gragas kind of self-explanatory. His ability to create space. Keria!
Oh,
caralho. Keria tries to get him with the Q flash. Doctom quick on the reactions, crucially, but that is a flash down in the laning phase. And again, while Owner is flashless, may still be in a position come level 6 to really force this dive before Peter has access to that ultimate.
Big for this T1 bottom lane that T1 want to play through their bottom lane here with this comp, this Kalista, Renata, Nocturne trifecta that they've been able to get for themselves. And it is going to mean guaranteed bot side Scuttle Crab with the early push there, and the ward as well from Doran, who took his time from top lane to go ward the second one. So they'll know that this time around, Cuz has done the same thing he did last time, where he did the clear into recall and then look for the crab.
I do like, though, you see, even though Nocturne isn't necessarily like the #1 dive champion, all the precautions are being taken. Cuz actually hovers there to see if they go for the crash.
Dá tempo não era chegar por Oranguejo? Não, nem fodendo, né? Demorou muito pra dar base, quis dar um hoverzinho ali no bot, aí perdeu o escudo de cima.
Kind of double value when you're able to shut down that Caitlyn early game that so often is incredibly impressive.
Doran já sabe.
May have to be careful. Good awareness though.
They should know.
See the potential gank coming, knowing that there's really no play on the bottom side to be had for KT.
Early stages of Mordekaiser versus Gragas, not too big. Plenty of sustain on the Gragas, no problem. So just a farm fest up there as both junglers will go into their second re-clears. It's going to be a little bit quicker, of course, for Owner because of Cuz's little altered path where he goes for the...
Nossa, os dois mid com mana, tipo, bastante mana ainda. E os dois da gota. E ninguém foi base ainda, que loucura, né? Vão demorar pra estacar.
Hovering into the fog of war, then going for pretty deep recalls.
Are seeing Faker taking not the best of trades, but not really bought it. Has his egg still available. We'll see if Cuz can make something happen. Might look here. Has his Raptors just now done. Making his way over. Even getting a summoner or getting the egg would be big.
Faker grounded. Cuz on the way in.
Nossa.
Good wall to force the disengage. But BDD full committing even though he has no mana. They do manage to get the passive out of Faker. Cuz full committing. Peter on the way. The tongue lash there. They want to give the kill to BDD.
Nossa, melhor. Que isso. Melhor, velho.
Could be the deciding game. KT, they send all resources again.
Vixe Maria.
To BDD to make it happen.
Vixe Maria. Aqui já foi, mano. Nossa, comprou bota e gota, velho. A gota beleza, né? Mas a bota... Nossa, a Ona.
Is Peter barely able to make it out alive. Good recovery from T1.
And he flashes for that. He's like, no, trust me. I got this. Takes the wheel and finds the 50-50 steal.
Sometimes you need inspiration. When your team are backs against the walls and you just lost out first blood mid, you have to come up with some really big plays. And throwing it there, throwing the flash for the flip, getting it.
É louco, velho. O cara flasha pra smitar, mano. Que porra é essa, velho?
You can see how while BDD was comfortable in that 1v1, it's so difficult for Doctom. If a wall had appeared just a little bit more behind him, he very likely would have died like the one we're seeing here. Luckily,
cara, tipo assim, o deck é 1000. Que é isso, velho?
Will not connect. Nice initial stun from Faker. Procs the phase rush. Will back away. Doesn't have any damage under his belt yet, or that could have been a lot more concerning for the side of KT.
It's nice, you know, you get a little indicator for where you need to throw your stun. As Cuz will be able to maintain this lead thanks to the kill that he got. Owner about to hit 6 though. And that is going to be when he comes online is perfect.
Perfect, flash away.
Ih, teve que flashar, filho. O Dora morre pra ele? Acho que lá dentro. Não, né, mano? Demora muito, né?
And I do really love when people play goofy skins in very high stakes matchups.
The Gragas burp, a classic. All right, so much tension though, so much riding on this game as we get the swaps back out, and KT opting to send Caitlyn up to the top side of the map, whereas Guma and Keria have full priority here, trying to push in on BDD's Casio.
And looking at how the early game setups are gonna go, it's
Ixi, mas não ficou estranho agora pro velhaco aí, não? Ah, não, a Nívia, né?
Use the priority in your lanes, use the priority of this Guma Keria lane. With the Kalista Renata, you're able to turn that into vision, and you're able to pick off members from KT as they
Mas os caras vão frisar ali, acho.
Turn off the lights, displace them either with the wall or with the Gragas. And there's a lot of damage available early on to take
Não
down
frisou?
targets
Oxi.
for KT. Again, it feels like it's going to come down to what
Pô, a Nívia pra fazer isso aí é bom até, né? Ah, mas não vai queimar tanta mana assim também, né? Deixa eu ver. Mano, eu gosto desse early game assim, um pouquinho, entendeu? Vencedor, entendeu? Todos os outros jogos, o early game deles tava meio ruim, mano. Até o primeiro jogo que eles ganharam foi de virada numa fight, não foi ganhando lane. Ganhando early. Agora tá ganhando early um pouquinho naquelas, né? Porque teve aquele gank no mid ali meio pilantrex.
I mean, Owner knew, you know, otherwise you're a Nocturne that uses flash for no reason, but he trusted his smite button.
And they know that they are going to need to continue to stack those objectives. So we'll see if the emphasis on the earlier Dragon Soul for them does come to fruition. Kalista, of course, looking to be a snowball.
Ooh, and I do love that it's Docton playing that Caitlyn skin from DRX. The last time that T1 lost in the finals, it was against that team as Faker. Should be fine here, but his prio is continuously maintained, and look at the top T1,
oh, beleza.
keeping these waves shoved in, and plates will be their rewards.
And this feels like the first game where T1 are able to build
A lista tá forte, fi. Tá pegando esse curso, hein? Nossa. Olha como pega plate, olha como farma. Você é louco, mano. Que champion, velho.
Very effortlessly can contest the big smites of the game, and when Owner and Guma are working together, it feels pretty impossible for KT to stop an objective that T1 have started.
Guma on a lot of champions is pretty good at contesting dragons as well.
Has been known for that,
Yeah, he has stolen, even at this tournament, multiple dragons on different AD carry champions. This time around, though, we continue the farm fest, my friends.
Nice, love it. You know, it's
bringing the LCK to the world stage.
It wouldn't be your final cast if we didn't get a little, the appropriate pace for an
obviously,
LCK matchup.
The main issue is that normally we go completely off topic.
Sure.
We're not going to do that here.
No. Professionalism.
Yeah, obviously. There's a hex plate now done here for Owner.
Nossa, o Wonder já fechou 80, filho. Que isso?
Looks like double Roa to come through here for T1 as well.
Obviously, 20 seconds.
Ooh, BDD close to his.
At this stage, however, it feels like T1 just ahead in terms of overall prio. Yes, BDD has mid lane push, but really has to be careful about wandering into Fog of War when Owner has access to that ultimate. Cuz has finished the Sundered Sky, not opting for a Trinity Force, knowing he might need a bit more sustain. Carry a bit of poke onto Peter, and T1 with this bot lane push, very likely set up to be first to the Drake.
Owner's there, trying to, I think, scout out, and this time T1, if they can set up again, trying to regain control into Renata, into Anivia, kind of a nightmare. We haven't really talked about it too much, but the engage from KT.
Oh, tá estranho isso aí, hein, velho.
It's really looking like a full commit or bust.
Ready for the 50-50. Faker off to the side, decent damage on a
Que isso foi? Flashou. Caralho. Ó. Ah, esse avó prende. Nossa. Não, mas aí não tá estranho agora. Tá sem ult.
T1 to claim it for a bit more. Alti coming in from
Renata.
the side of Carrier. Drake down. The back line of KT berserk as they look if they can turn it back. But again, they don't have the tools to keep the fight going.
Nossa, o Mordecai já notou. Faker, não entendi. Agora eu tô. Caramba! Meu Deus, BDD. Puta merda. Caralho, ele joga, mano. Nossa. Faker tá vivo ainda. Que isso? Peter endoidou.
Caught up in the hype, caught up in the moment. Faker gonna get one back.
Yeah, getting a little bit ahead of themselves there. The roller coaster sometimes a bit of a bumpy ride. But as we highlighted, it's BDD that takes this fight into his own hands. You see KT, they at first very respectful of the amount of
Que isso, olha o refresh do BDD, mano. Isso é louco, mano.
Yeah, and they try and pincer them against, then Dorian goes for the big play, but he's left in the middle, and BDD hits the ultimate peel.
Ai, mano, olha o Dorian jogando.
And T1 get chased out.
And Perfect, while that was happening, took out one of the big DPS sources for T1. Even though he doesn't actually take out Faker, we can see there, the BDD topping those damage charts, and Faker, he was just hitting a Mordekaiser.
Nothing you could do, Guma. BDD, the points of pressure that we look at for both teams. Gumayushi does go down in the end, giving a lot of that gold back to Docdom, crucially for this KT lineup. And BDD now with the Roa fully stacked, even as Faker struggles to complete his, is in an excellent position in the fights to come. Again, 1 minute and 30 seconds now until that Herald is available. Top side still close, mid lane still very much dominated by Guma. T1 would really like to have that prio advantage ahead of this next objective.
Yeah. They made the call. Just try and go for Docdom. You know, Dorian getting in there for the knockback, but they didn't have the damage to follow it back up. And so the extra kills here for KT, but T1 preemptively got the Dragon. So that plan of stacking the Drakes is still there.
Ooh, and this is a game where I think Ocean's actually going to get a ton of value. It makes your side laning so oppressive. There are a ton of champions on either side that have a good amount of sustain. Going to become even more annoying when you become basically an immovable object in that side. And a lot of champions that, even with the Roas, even with the Seraphs, are going to chew through a ton of mana. As right now, KT feeling like, despite everything that's happened, game basically that even, right? If anything, it's in favor of T1, given that
difícil esse jogo, hein, mano. Nossa senhora, velho.
Given that they're currently up a whole whopping 2 plants as well.
And remember the context of all of KT's kills. It is a lot of flashes, it is a lot of full committals with very long cooldown sums and abilities. T1 still have a much easier time setting up fights, setting up picks, and because they've secured those 2 Drakes, they will inevitably be allowed to force at least one fight on their own terms, even now as we see both teams setting up for the Herald.
And I think that will be necessary for T1, because KT, they have used this Caitlyn so effectively from the very beginning of the tournament, and they've constantly looked towards the late game with this champion for Docdom, and the siege power, the extra range. KT right now, speaking of siege, with the 4-1, but T1 are able to take control of it. They've got control and access to the Rift Herald as well, so they can continue to stack these neutral objectives. And that's the way that they're going to apply this pressure to KT and not allow them a lot of extra time in the game.
Early objective stacking going the way of T1, convincingly and fully.
Olha o Dorian.
Possible play onto Doran here, a dive with about 50 seconds left on the clock would be big.
O daivar Gragas é estranho, hein, mano. Nossa, tem 5. Ultou a wave. Caralho, foi? Que isso? Pô, eu gostei, mano. Eu gostei, velho. Ah, esse pega. Nossa.
And T1 continue to trade up.
And T1 read them like a book. The 5-man rotation gets punished heavily. They're ready to keep Doran safe this time around. That Gragas will not be taken down. And then on the cross map, the top side turret falls.
And now they're in a perfect position to contest this next Drake. The good news for the side of KT is at least Dokdom finally has that collector, is able to chip away at Gumayushi's health bar, but with the Blade of the Rune King and a red buff, Guma forced to be reckoned with. KT poking their heads, and they don't really have the vision, but they do have a ward on the flank if Perfect can find his way in. We'll just take the
Nossa, o Faker é louco dando a cara de veio. Que isso.
Look at the flank from Doran here, trying to hide there on the Ocean Rift, looking for a big displacement.
Herald summoned in the mid lane. 5v5 at the pit. Flash ulti available for BDD if he wants to try and find it. Perfect isolated off to the side. Hostile takeover stops Peter from going any further. Dokdam completely isolated. Cooking the barrel for just
Owner! Que isso, velho. Pegou Dokdam. E agora? Nossa. O BD tá embaçado, velho.
Even as T1 begin to fall, Faker and Carry are ready to turn it. But have they overcommitted the wall there, trying to disengage? Carry a Faker running into the pinch, obliterate, connecting for full damage.
Corre, Faker! Corre, correu.
Clutch to disengage for the side of T1.
T1, they get the dragon, but at what cost, guys? The gold here going over to KT. Some of these kills. Ooh, it is tense. I mean, T1, I think it's still good because they can still keep up their timeline for Dragon Soul.
I think you take it because of the double steal that comes through, right? Because they're unable to get this dragon. Owner gets to secure again. And I want to look at the amount of flashes that are blown here for KT. As Dokdom gets taken down, completely focused by Guma, who stays alive until BDD gets on top of him. But the stalling here is a big deal, and the trades aren't that bad when it comes to kills.
Dona errou o E, mano, ali na Caitlyn? Ou só ficou esquisito só? Entendi, mano.
And I think the big thing that I'm looking at is the effectiveness of this Tahm Kench. This is a moment where across this series it's felt like Peter, Dokdom have been doing well even when Dokdom's been getting caught out, but you saw there the disconnect. Peter flashes in to try to devour Dokdom. Dokdom flashes over the wall. They can't get the angle, and those moments of miscoordination are effortless for T1 to punish, and this is something they cannot afford because they're already falling behind in terms of map pressure. Even if they have a kill advantage, they're behind in gold. Single mistakes like that could cost them everything.
And I'm looking at Owner's smite button.
Oh yeah.
Inspect that thing. This guy is cold as hell, man. Keeps on getting these dragons. Started out the game with a flash to go steal it. Can he do one more? Does he have one more in him?
And started off the game without a flash to speak of. When it comes off cooldown, he flashes to steal it. And again, this is the member that we've heralded on this T1 lineup as the most consistent point. Being clutch around these objectives is crucial because now you see the runway, you see the path to victory. The Otacon, the soul, stand in front of T1.
In 2013 OGN Summer, those telecom wars go in the distance. Will we go the distance here on the World Final stage?
If we start a Twitter poll, can we ask for Game 5 blind pick?
I'm down.
It's a throwback.
Let's get double Zeds, double Shens back
Fearless
in there.
Game 5 blind pick.
Run it back.
We could do that, right? It's fine.
We have that authority, I'm sure.
Yeah, certainly.
Absolutely not, for anyone concerned.
5 flashes have been blown by KT, and that does mean that I expect T1 to maintain prio in these lanes, because not having flash means that you're much more susceptible to a Nocturne showing up and taking your lunch money as Owner. We've seen him and Gumayushi often be the deciding factor.
Startou atacando. Ixi, Maria.
Just full sending on Otacon, at least to get the TP out of Doran.
Understand the gamble that KT are in because T1 are collapsing, and in the meantime waves are being deleted.
Pô, mas juntinho assim não perde não pra Renata, velho.
And if T1 take the fight, it might just cost them the game.
Perfect has
sticking around, ready to get them away. The ulti not stacked up. Perfect going forward just a little bit longer. The death realm to come out. Owner gonna respond with an ulti of his own.
Pagou o Luiz. Nossa, Perfect foi.
Lineups, Gumayushi and Perfect in the death realm, and Guma takes those. T1 focusing on the objective. Cleanse used from Carrier. Heal on the way. Faker finding a bit more damage. BDD isolated. Hostile takeover going to connect onto BDD. It won't have much effect as Cuz tries to chase Faker out. But Dokdam, he might take Carrier. But it's T1 taking
matou o Kerry, nem vi Kerry.
Securing the objective.
And there it is. The second smite for T1 strikes again as Otacon goes their way.
Oh man, that was a tense one. You can tell the call from KT, I think at the beginning, is have Mordekaiser just run at Owner and try and ult Owner. But look at Perfect getting kited. The Anivia does so much work keeping him at bay. Carry as well, trying to help, trying to delay. And then as the ult goes down there, they kite it back out, Otacon resetting. They put so many spears into this Otacon.
And I cannot think of a worse champion to pull
Nossa, que loucura, velho.
than a Kalista that has been accelerated. Unfortunate.
Nossa, 27. Meu Deus.
You see that they have the damage, that they have the items. They just cannot put it where it counts. And ultimately, that just means that T1 are even further ahead. 23-9, the score in terms of the petals. 1,000 gold advantage and 20 seconds until T1 are set up to take the soul.
It's going to have to be a miraculous team fight here from KT, as they are second to the objective.
Miraculous Teamfight não é tanto assim não, velho. Tá esquisito isso aqui ainda, hein, mano. Uau, Faker. Cara é louco, mano. Eu tenho doido, velho.
A bit tough to deal with. You can see the pierce that lands onto Docdom, taking that chunk of health. Flash in, full committal to the fight. Pillar to isolate owner, redemption to heal, Faker right back.
Nossa, o Dora entrou. Eita, apagou a luz. Olha o ult do Dora. A Nivea. Ué. Nossa, que porra é essa, velho?
The spears stacked, smites available.
Faker's gonna teleport back. They're recalling Mordekaiser and the Anivia.
The fight just continues to go. 6K getting lower.
Nossa, vai ter luta. Meu Deus, pegou o Docdan. Meu Deus, pegou o Piri. Pega. Meu Deus do céu. Ai, o Wonder vai morrer. Nossa, o BDD. Pegou o Drake. Meu Deus, Docdan morreu. Nossa, que é isso? Que fight de louco, velho.
Oh my god, T1 stand up, get the Ocean Soul, and they have made every person in this stadium stand up as well. Doctum gets hit with the carry.
Nossa, mano, que loucura. O BD tá imparável, velho. Olha ele quietinho ali, ó. Ó, pim. Nossa, velho. Ah, o Faker stunou. Ah, por isso que ele não morreu, mano. Entendi, mano. O Faker stunou ele na cara, mano. Teve reflexo ainda. Por isso que ele tomou stun também, porque ele tava virado de frente stunando ele. Entendi. Ai, Dora do céu. Dando risada.
Plus, in the lead up to that fight, Faker was kiting so well with the Anivia, and there was a moment where the Mordekaiser was trying to pull him in.
8.600 de dano.
Trundle Pillar also bumped him out as well. I mean, the annoyance of the late game Anivia, the kiting here that he's able to pull off, really created so much space.
And T1 seemed to perfectly understand their strengths in comparison to KT's weaknesses. We've mentioned it countless times. We saw it in draft, and we've seen it be the bane of KT this entire game. They do not have good tools to force picks. So T1 get to stay in these fights at 20% health, 30% health, because once they see that pillar go down, they know there's no way anyone else is getting on top of them in the back line. Now, Soul in their favor, Flowers in their favor, 5K gold lead, and they're set up to take the first Baron of the game.
It's again costly when it comes to some.
Ué, mas já vai startar já?
And T1 call the T1 Baron. Gold leads there. Ocean Soul is theirs.
Meu Deus do céu.
We'll see if they can make something happen.
Owner and T1 have secured every single objective this game. Cuz moving in, but zoned away by the Storm from the side of the team. Berserk now onto Cuz, has to ulti. Owner using an ulti of his own just to try and disengage. Dorn, meanwhile, in the mid lane, happy to just continue fighting. Perfect going into the back line, looking to get taken down.
Perfect foi fudido. De novo.
1v1, just in time he gets out, and Dorn is there to seal the deal on the kill. KT desperate to get anything. They've already lost their top laner. The game rapidly slipping away.
They're trying their best to not let this game go to 5.
Dorn
still searching.
No flash for BDD, that crucial piece of CC and exhaust there. But Faker just waiting in the darkness. Guma stacking up the spears, the wall to zone KT away.
Ó o Dora, meu Deus do céu. Desbrou. Quebrou tudo. Foda-se. Guma Yoshi! Nossa, caralho, tá rápido, fi. Dora! Que beleza, velho.
The T1 ensure that we are going the distance. We are getting our full value out of this series as KT just cannot close the gap to T1's backline.
The turn off of Baron to grab the kills, and now they will.
Dora rolou away de novo, velho.
Here's another look at it. So Doran had just body slammed at BDD, and BDD used Cassiopeia ultimate. The rest of them can then chase through the river here. As you see, even with the Tahm Kench trying to eat him up, Noctam still has nowhere to go.
The KT feel forced into trying to contest. Know that if Baron goes down, game is as good as lost. And Peter, it's not an enviable job. You're trying to play engage Kench, and I've seen a single man do that well, and he's on the opposite side of the rift. We knew it was a gamble, and that plus the blind Cassio, I think, really getting punished so nicely by T1 in this game.
Yeah, and the top lane difference as well. The Mordekaiser has not found a lot of value. He's getting kited a lot, and hasn't had very high value ultimates either. So we'll see as we progress in this series, if we progress, because T1 still have not done it yet. They've got the Dragon Soul and a 9,000 gold lead though,
Yeah.
so they definitely should be able to.
20 pedal lead, they have Grubs. We haven't taken a turret yet, Kobe.
They got more items, they got more money. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's looking like a hard road for the side of KT. And now,
but it's good news for us.
when a comeback happens, if KT can make it happen, then it's something to be considered. Maybe a miracle flash, but it will take that miracle. And for KT, it's so important not to lose sight of the bigger picture. This is a game you could afford to lose because of what you won earlier. It might come down to a best of one, but you need to be at your best form for that matchup because this game is looking done and dusted.
Nossa, agora que eu vi tá 11 mil de gold diff. Que isso?
The threat of T1 diving into their backline, a very real threat.
BDD found a big play on his Yone in game 1 against Gen G to find a miraculous comeback, but this game feels so much more dire. About 35 seconds till we see that Elder come
Olha o ult do Dora.
I don't even know if T1
Que
really wants
isso?
to wait for it. With 2 inhibitors, they can just decide to back off. No pressure on them.
Owner waiting, hoping to catch out a member of KT, over eager, knowing how important it is for them to stop the Soul from going down. 20 seconds, a TP into the mid lane, maybe going to catch out Gumayushi here. But it's perfect. Again, this is the problem. No matter who TP's in, it's so effortless for T1 to just walk away.
Yeah, perfect. Guma is 2 levels up on the top laner.
Aqui o Cus foi. Ou flash. Flashou. A Nivea. BDD! Nossa. A NT pra caralho. Se não tivesse tão atrás. Meu Deus do céu, velho. Esse cara tá o capeta, velho. Que isso, mano. Ó. Velhaco bebendo. Nossa, que da hora. Não tinha visto o chão. Caraca, que da hora, mano.